What would you do if you saw a teenage girl no older than 16, huddled under a bridge on a rainy night, clutching her baby brother and protecting two other frightened children? Would you keep driving, or would you stop and change their lives forever? This story begins on an ordinary evening with a man named Kevin Davis just trying to escape his own loneliness. But when a red light forces him to pause, he notices something on the sidewalk that most people would overlook: a moment of heartbreak, resilience, and a love so fierce it defies the world's expectations. What starts as a simple act of compassion spirals into a journey neither Kevin nor this brave young girl could have imagined. Stay with us as we unravel a story that proves hope can be found in the most unexpected places, and sometimes strangers become the family we've been searching for all along. It was a bone-chilling afternoon in late November when Kevin Porter found himself idling at a red light in downtown Nashville, his mind miles away from the city traffic. He had just left a long, draining meeting about his charity's next fundraiser, and despite his reputation as a successful event organizer today, he felt more tired than triumphant. The icy wind rattled the car windows as he absent-mindedly tapped the steering wheel, glancing out at the gray streets peppered with Christmas lights that failed to lift his mood. But then someone caught his eye. Under the awning of a closed storefront, he saw a girl who couldn't have been more than 16, bundled up in a faded jacket cradling a baby. Around her, three small children made a fortress out of cardboard and old milk crates, their laughter far too soft for the freezing air. What struck Kevin wasn't just the hardship etched on the girl's face, but the way she was softly humming a lullaby to the baby while her eyes constantly scanned the street. She shielded her siblings with a fierce protectiveness that made Kevin forget for a moment the world outside his warm SUV. As the light turned green, he drove on, but the image haunted him so deeply he circled back, unable to shake the strange, urgent pull in his chest. He parked discreetly across the street and just watched. The girl Haley Carter tried to soothe her baby brother Noah, whose cheeks were red from the cold. Ethan, the 6-year-old, kept clinging to her side, while little Maya and Logan played with imaginary toys, their laughter small but persistent in the crisp air. Kevin noticed Haley's exhaustion, the way she tucked her coat tighter around Noah, even as her own hands trembled. He realized with a jolt that she was giving the children the last of a crushed pack of crackers, keeping nothing for herself. Every gesture screamed of sacrifice. After several minutes of hesitation, Kevin finally approached them, making sure not to startle anyone. He stopped a few feet away, hands open in a harmless gesture. "Hi there. My name's Kevin. I noticed you all from across the street. I'm not here to bother you. I just wanted to see if you need anything. Maybe something to eat or drink." Haley's body went rigid. She wrapped her arm tighter around Noah and kept the others close. Her eyes, steely and sharp, flicked between Kevin and her siblings. "We're fine," she replied, voice hoarse but stubborn. Kevin could see how young she really was, just a kid, but forced to be so much more. Before he could answer, Ethan peered up at him and whispered, "Are you a police officer?" Maya hid behind Haley's legs, wide-eyed. Kevin shook his head gently. "No, buddy. I just thought you might like something warm to eat. There's a bakery, Baker's Haven, just down the block. How about I bring some sandwiches and hot chocolate? You can watch me go and come back, so you know I mean it." Haley hesitated, but when Noah whimpered with hunger, she nodded ever so slightly. "Don't go far," she warned, her chin high. The defiance in her voice made Kevin's heart twist. She was a survivor, but also a sister fighting against a world that had turned its back. As Kevin hurried to the bakery, the curiosity in him burned brighter than his sympathy. Who were these kids? Where were their parents? Why did Haley seem so desperate to protect her family from help, as if any offer might be another threat in disguise? The questions tangled in his mind as he bought armfuls of fresh bread, hot chocolate, and fruit. The woman at the counter raised an eyebrow, but Kevin only smiled and said, "It's for a family that really needs it." When he returned, Haley was rocking Noah, her eyes never leaving Kevin's silhouette. She checked the bags cautiously before letting her siblings eat. Kevin watched as she divided the food carefully, Ethan, Maya, and Logan getting their shares first, Noah sucking on a bottle, and only then did she nibble on a crust herself. Kevin crouched down to her level voice, low and gentle. "You know you're braver than most grown-ups I know." Haley just stared back, unsure if she should trust him. For a moment, the smallest hint of a smile touched her lips, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. The storm wasn't over for this family. If anything, the real story was just beginning. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Have you ever met someone whose courage made you question your own? What would you do if you saw a family in need on a cold street? Would you step in or keep walking? And do you think sometimes helping can be more complicated than it seems? Kevin sat cross-legged on the curb, the winter wind cutting through his coat as he watched Haley's family eat. Every bite the children took, Haley's watchful gaze flickered between them and Kevin, as if expecting the world to yank their brief comfort away. He tried not to make her feel scrutinized, but he couldn't stop looking at the threadbare shoes, the clever way she folded a blanket so it became a makeshift cradle for the baby, the protective arm that never left her siblings. After the first warmth of food settled in, the questions returned. Kevin knew he needed to earn their trust if he wanted to help, but every careful word seemed to make Haley's shell harder, not softer. "Do you all have somewhere safe to go tonight?" he asked gently. Haley shook her head, lips set in a thin line. "We're fine here," she insisted, even though the shadows were growing longer and the city noises had changed. The daytime crowd was gone, replaced by footsteps that echoed with warning. Kevin knew he shouldn't push, but something in him just wouldn't let it go. "Haley, I know you don't know me, but I have a place not far from here. A real house with extra beds and a heater that works. I'm not trying to take anything from you. You remind me of my sister back when we had no one." A silence stretched between them. Kevin could feel his own heart pounding, knowing how easily this moment could go wrong. But then Ethan, sleepy from his full belly, tugged at Haley's sleeve. "Can we go, Hales? I'm tired of the cold." She hesitated, her eyes darting from Kevin to her siblings, calculating risks she shouldn't have to consider at 16. But then a sudden shriek cut through the street tires, squealing a car door, slamming a drunken man shouting down the block. Haley's shoulders snapped back, her body tense. Without thinking, she pulled the children closer, ready to bolt. Kevin moved fast. "It's okay, you're safe," he said. But Haley's fear was real. The man staggered closer, angry at someone invisible. Other passers-by quickened their steps, ignoring the chaos. Kevin stepped in front of Haley and her siblings, facing the man as he lurched down the sidewalk. "Hey, the police are coming!" he called out, voice steady and commanding. The man spat a curse but kept going, disappearing into the night. For the first time, Haley looked at Kevin, not as a stranger, but as a shield. She didn't thank him, but she didn't flinch when he crouched closer. "You see why I can't trust people," she whispered fiercely. "Every time I tried to get help before, people only wanted to split us up. Foster care shelters, nobody lets us stay together. They say I'm too young to take care of them, but if I give them up, I'll lose them forever." Kevin felt a lump form in his throat. "I promise I won't let that happen. I don't have all the answers, but I swear I'll fight for you all to stay together. Just let me help tonight. One night. If you want to leave tomorrow, I'll give you a ride anywhere you want." Haley studied him for a long, raw moment, then nodded. "Just tonight," she said, her voice trembling, but resolute. "But if you lie, if you try to call anyone, I'll run. And I won't ever let you find us again. I swear," Kevin replied. "No one will take you from your family. Not on my watch." They gathered their belongings, a battered backpack, a few blankets, the bottle for Noah, and loaded into Kevin's car. The kids were quiet, stunned by the unfamiliar comfort of the leather seats and the glowing dashboard. As Kevin drove through Nashville's twinkling city lights, he caught Ethan's wide eyes in the rearview mirror, still wary but full of secret hope. Kevin's house wasn't a mansion, but it was warm. He cranked up the heater, let the kids pile onto the couch with extra blankets, and put a Disney movie on the TV. Haley hovered, arms crossed, refusing to sit until everyone else was settled. Only when Noah drifted off to sleep in her lap did she finally relax, eyes fluttering shut for the first time in what must have been days. That night, as Kevin sat in the kitchen nursing a cup of coffee, he scrolled through his phone child advocacy hotlines, local resources, legal forms. He didn't want to betray Haley's trust, but he needed advice. Was it even possible to help them without risking the family being split up? As dawn crept into the house, Haley woke with a start, her whole body tense. But when she saw the calm in the living room, the sun spilling across her siblings' faces, she let out a shaky breath. No one came, she whispered almost in disbelief. You kept your word. Kevin knelt beside her, his own relief nearly overwhelming. I told you I would. Haley's face softened just a little, and for the first time Kevin saw the girl she might have been before the world forced her to grow up too soon. The morning sun cast soft golden light through the kitchen window, painting gentle warmth over the little family as they stirred awake in Kevin's home. For the first time in months, Haley woke not to the jarring sounds of the street, but to the quiet, reassuring hum of a house alive with kindness. She blinked momentarily, confused by the strange sense of peace, then realized Ethan was still curled up beside her on the couch, a smile on his sleeping face. Emily was sprawled over a pile of pillows, her small hand still clutching the edge of her blanket, and Noah was snuggled close, breathing evenly. The safety felt unreal, fragile, like something that could vanish if she let herself believe it was real. Kevin came in, carrying 2 mugs, one steaming with coffee, the other with hot chocolate. For the bravest girl I know, he said quietly, handing the hot chocolate to Haley. She looked at him uncertain, but something in his calm smile settled her nerves. I thought maybe you'd want to talk about what comes next. Haley's first instinct was to shut down, to remind him it was only for one night. But her heart hesitated. She glanced at her siblings, at the warm house, at Kevin's honest eyes. I don't know, she admitted softly. I want to keep them safe. That's all I've ever wanted. You're doing a better job than most adults I know, Kevin replied, his voice low and sincere. But you shouldn't have to do it alone. There are ways to keep you together, Haley. I've been up all night researching. There are special guardianship programs, people who will fight for families like yours, and I have friends who can help. We can do this together. But you need to trust me, and you need to let people in. Haley stared at him, her eyes brimming with fear and hope. 2 emotions she'd never let mingle before. I'm scared, she whispered. What if it all goes wrong? It might, Kevin admitted. But what if it goes right? That simple question hung in the air. She'd never considered that possibility before, that someone could want to help, not for charity, not to take something away, but simply to make things better. Haley nodded just once, and the world shifted. That day set everything in motion. Kevin reached out to a pro bono family lawyer he trusted, and soon the house filled with gentle voices and careful questions. Haley was terrified at first, certain someone would come to take her siblings away. But this time things were different. Kevin sat beside her in every meeting, promising he wouldn't let anyone break the family apart. As weeks passed, something miraculous happened. The system listened. With Kevin's support and the evidence of Haley's devotion and resourcefulness, the courts agreed to let her keep guardianship of her siblings, with Kevin as their mentor and legal sponsor. The children enrolled in school. For the first time, Haley had teachers and counselors cheering her on instead of shaking their heads in pity. She even got to finish her own education online, chasing the dreams she'd once buried beneath survival. There were hard days, setbacks, nights when Haley still jolted awake at the smallest sound. But every morning she was met with warmth and hope. Kevin's kitchen became the heart of a new, bigger family. Dinners were noisy, messy, and full of laughter, things she'd never realized she missed so much. The neighborhood welcomed them, amazed by Haley's strength and the transformation of her siblings. Even Kevin, once a lonely soul haunted by his past, found purpose again, healing not just them, but himself. Years later, as Haley stood on stage at her high school graduation, she looked out into the crowd. There was Kevin beaming with pride, Emily waving wildly, Ethan and Noah squirming in their seats. Tears pricked Haley's eyes, but this time they were happy tears. She'd kept her family together. She'd found a home not just with walls and a roof, but with people who loved her. Against all odds, they had all found their way. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can spark miracles. Sometimes choosing to trust is the bravest thing a person can do. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. How did this story make you feel? Have you ever witnessed or experienced an act of kindness that changed someone's life? If you think stories like Haley's can inspire others, comment 100 below. Let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to share this video to help spread hope.